How are you gonna end an episode like that? How are you gonna end an episode like that? I need the whole version. I'm gonna need the uncut version. For lesbian science, of course. Enil Pin finally smashed party. Get in here. My crops are watered. My children are fed. My wife has recovered from the plague. Ladies, is it gay to say that all of your thoughts are consumed by another woman? Asking for a friend. I know it's gay for a woman to let her heartache and longing for another woman manifest itself as art. How do they do it? How do they have so much how do they make it look so natural? So organic. An organic lesbian pasta sprinkled with natural ingredients. Flashback are like the lesbian masters of the universe. Every molecule in the air between them when they're near each other just vibrates with chemistry. I was feeling the tension now, Mr. Krabs. These two are gonna emotionally ruin me. The nose kiss, the forehead kiss, the cheek kiss, the kiss kiss. This was an oil painting. Hang this in an art museum. Lady Pin placing her head on Anin's chest, close to her heart, and saying that she belongs to her. I am never going to emotionally recover from this episode. And then Anin makes Lady Pin look her in the eye and say it again. We stan a dominant queen. The romance, the tenderness, the intense love confessions. This is lesbian cinema. This is poetic cinema. I am sorry about the construction noises that can be heard in this video. I requested to the local council that a statue of Jennifer Beals be built outside where I live, but I better not share where that is on the internet because being stalked is only fun when you're being stalked by Jodie Comer. Thank you. Finally, Pin has admitted her feelings. At last. Intense, poetic love confessions are the lesbian way. This episode was a roller coaster. I was holding on. I was triggered by Lady Pin this episode. I'm not gonna lie, I was triggered. I was this close to becoming a Lady Pin hater. How are you gonna say that you don't know how you feel for somebody that we can all see that you're clearly madly in love with? They had me in the first half, I'm not gonna lie. Luckily, she confessed at the end of the episode, so peace is restored in the lands, and it was a very, very beautiful confession, and that kind of made up for earlier, but still, Lady Pin is a Scorpio, and you cannot tell me otherwise. The insane jealousy and the keeping feelings a secret, it was giving Scorpio. This is just how it feels to be rejected by a woman. I do not know how Anin dealt with the rejection in this episode. If that was me, I would have changed my name and left the country. Becky's acting in this episode was so incredible. Like, it's some of the best acting I've ever seen from her. Becky really conveyed everything that Anin was feeling through her facial expressions alone. Give Becky's eyeballs an Oscar. Hi guys, welcome to a video, and in today's video, I'm just going to be giving you my thoughts on episode 5 of The Loyal Pin. This video is not scripted. It's just me and my gay notes. So if this video is unhinged, if it makes no sense, that's what you get for having expectations. Tagline for this channel. Let that be a life lesson to you. I felt so bad for Anin at the beginning of the episode. Lady Pin pretty much abandons ship, runs away, and then locks herself in a room. And Anin is left outside crying in the rain, distraught. If a woman ever did that to me, I would change my name and leave the country. And I have to say, I didn't really understand Pin's actions in like the first half of this episode because she ran away from Anin, she's avoiding Anin, and then she just kind of expects things to be fine with Anin, which, why would they be fine? You've like broken her heart. Of course she doesn't want to eat anything. The woman is in a deep depression. I think that maybe this is supposed to highlight Pin's avoidant nature or how much she represses her feelings and then tries to carry on as normal. And perhaps she was projecting that onto Anin or expecting her to do the same here too. And even though this is in character for Lady Pin, it was still really frustrating to watch. Then Princess Patamika and Preek are back from their travels, and I'm gonna need a montage of Princess Patamika and Preek traveling about. I'm gonna need that montage. And Lady Patamika still looking like a fine wine. That's all I have to say. Anyway, Preek finds Anin unconscious. The lesbian rejection made her pass out. Like I said, this is just how it feels to be rejected by a woman. But it turns out that Anin just has a cold. And Lady Pin hears about how this might be connected to the fact that Anin was standing outside in the rain and is feeling the guilt. So she heads over to Pine Palace because, of course, despite her avoidance of Anin, we all know that her whole world still revolves around Anin. And Pin's sudden arrival scares Preek half to death because Preek mistakes her for a ghost. The ghost of rejection. Anyway, Pin takes over Preek's duties, but Anin is sour with her. Understandably so, but Pin is determined to play nurse. This whole scene was a gay roller coaster. I was on the edge of my seat. There's so much unspoken tension between them in this scene, and it's not just tension over Pin's avoidance of Anin. There's lesbian tension more intense than the heat of 1,000 burning suns radiating in the air between them too. That tower was clinging on to its life by a thread. It knew it could burst into flames at any minute. How can there be this much sexual tension with towel touching? Anin's gay feelings, they are stronger than her fever. She's sick, and the only cure is lesbian attention. Same. But Pin is still in her useless lesbian era. She accuses Anin of looking at her with ignorance when she's the one who's been ignoring Anin, which Anin does point out. It's not easy dating women. This show is an example of why. Anin is then somehow magically recovered, and this is the part of the episode I don't understand. Because from Lady Pin's flashbacks, we can see how that kind of whole situation went, with Anin being rejected, so why would she suddenly be so happy? But whatever. In Lady Pin's flashbacks, we see that the two finally communicate about what happened, and it soon turns into a discussion about their feelings, where Pin asks Anin, in what way does she love her? And Anin explains her love for Pin in the most poetic way possible. Shakespeare felt those words from his grave, his bones quivering in fear for his legacy, before she asks Pin the same question. To which Pin responds that she doesn't see how the kind of love that Anin has for her is possible between them. And I think Pin's response here is interesting because it's the first time that she's actually vocalized her thoughts on what's been going on between her and Anin. We always know how Anin feels because she communicates it very clearly, but Pin is more introspective and her clues are non-verbal, which means we can only interpret what her motivations and feelings might be. So Pin vocalizing that she doesn't see how that kind of love is possible between her and Anin gives us some insight into her hesitations and suggests that it may be linked to internalized homophobia or the fact that they're living in a time period where lesbian relationships aren't normalized. But of course, this is not answering the question that Anin asked her. She's being avoidant again, which Anin points out, and Pin then responds that she doesn't know what her feelings for Anin are. And Anin tries her best to draw it out of her. I mean, she just bears her heart and soul. Becky was just so amazing at conveying all of Anin's like hope and longing in this scene. I mean, Anin said so much, both verbally and non-verbally, and oh my god, this scene was just so intense. And you almost think that Pin is going to finally confess, but instead, she just says she doesn't know. Again. That did nearly make me throw my laptop across the room. How are you gonna say you don't know how you feel? And the pain in Anin's eyes, the heartbreak. She's trying so hard not to show it, and she just rolls over and then a single tear falls out of her eye. Oh my god. That teardrop deserves an Oscar. Anyway, not long after this, Anin gets called away to Prince Jackam's funeral, and I thought there was an interesting visual parallel between the mourning over Prince Jackham and the mourning over what Anin considered to be the end of her romantic relationship with Lady Pin, which made these scenes a lot more visually thoughtful and layered. And during this time, Pin approaches Preek, who she accuses of lazing around instead of looking after Anin. My girl's just trying to enjoy some snacks in peace. And Preek soon reveals to her that Anin has left, left. And of course, Pin wants the details, because despite breaking her woman's heart, she's still keeping tabs on her. And Preek decides to have a bit of fun with letting her know that Nin is comforting Lady Ungfar tight. And Pin does not care for this, because she's a Scorpio. In fact, she begins to practically vibrate with jealousy. She's so jealous, she's carving fruit in the middle of the night. Freen really came through with the ghost visuals this episode. She did. This time she's the ghost of jealousy, giving Preek another heart attack. But the good news is, all of this leads up to the moment that the penny finally drops for Lady Pin. At last! And the minute that Nin returns to Pine Palace, Lady Pin teleports over there, only to have her worst fears confirmed as Nin shares with her that she did indeed spend many a night comforting her cousin. And Lady Pin does not care that they're cousins. What's important to her is that someone had the audacity to breathe the same air as her woman. However, the positives of this is it prompts Pin into a confession of feeling possessive over Nin. She is using her words, "We are getting somewhere." And here is where we reach the most romantic part of the episode, and it was great. It turns out that Nin has bought herself and Lady Pin matching hairpins. And there's a lot of messaging behind these hairpins because, for example, we can see that one of the hairpins is gold and the other is silver. And Nin gives the gold one to Lady Pin. And gold is more valuable than silver, which could mean that with this gesture, Nin is putting Pin before herself and in a position of power over her, so to speak. Interestingly, the hairpin has a lot of lesbian history attached to it too. Dropping hairpins is a euphemism which means dropping hints to reveal your sexuality. And historically, one would drop hairpins to try and suss out if it was safe to come out to someone during conversation, or if you suspected that person was gay, to try and induce them to follow suit, particularly if you had romantic designs on that person. So the meaning behind the hairpins in this scene is layered in that way as well. Let's all be honest, those hairpins were actually engagement rings. And this proposal finally prompts Pin to confess her feelings and admit that she was lying earlier when she said she didn't know how she felt about Nin. Sweet progress. And the confession was perfect. And like I said earlier, this whole scene was poetic cinema. Everything about the scene was perfect. It was romantic. It was tender. I passed out from the intense lesbian tension. The eye contact, the kisses, the intertwining of fingers. The hands were lesbian married. Pin gives herself to Nin. Pin completely gives herself to Nin. It's the best day of my life. It just unfolded between them in the most natural and beautiful way possible. I have no notes. I mean, I have gay notes, but those are quite different. I think Lady Pin placing her head on Nin's chest and saying that she belongs to her, being as close as she can to her heart, may have been my favourite part of the episode. I am not prepared for next week. I know it's going to emotionally ruin me. You guys know that I'm a sucker for softness, and next week's episode looks so soft. I think I might just melt into a puddle, a gay puddle, and stay that way. Okay guys, let me know your thoughts on episode 5 of The Loyal Pin. Let me know what your favourite part of the episode was down in the comments section below. Don't forget to subscribe for instant disappointment, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye!